Yo, what's good, guys? It's Austin here, or Luna. Now, today's story time is definitely a crazy one, and it's one that I thought I told years ago. I thought I told this like right after it happened because it was that crazy, and I guess I didn't. And I was scrolling through my channel today before I made this video, and I was like, I don't see it. It's time to talk about it. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but your boy's been keeping up with the daily uploads at 5 o'clock every day. So, yeah, that's when you should expect videos, 5 o'clock or 5:30 Eastern Time. Anyway, yeah, let's get into today's story because I really just want to talk about it. So, today's story time all starts off as a regular day in 2018. Now, in 2018, I wasn't really doing anything, okay? I was completely just doing YouTube, and that's it. I wasn't smoking weed. I wasn't doing any kind of psychedelics. I wasn't really experimenting in that field whatsoever. I really was just playing video games, making videos, hanging out with friends. I was pretty much completely straight edge like I am right now. And my one friend, let's call him Jason, okay? Jason hit me up on this day while I was just sitting in my room really doing nothing. And he's like, yo, do you want to hang out tonight? Now, the thing about Jason almost always needed to be doing something either dangerous, stupid, or just like getting high to have fun, which I didn't really like to do at this time. And I was a little bit worried, I can't lie. Every time I hung out with Jason, I usually ended up either, doing something stupid and illegal or getting high, and I didn't want to do either. So, yeah. But I said yes because I was bored and I had nothing to do that night. Fast forward a couple hours later, I was at Jason's house, hanging out with him in his basement, just playing some Xbox. And sure enough, he ends up coming up with the bright idea of doing something that involves getting high and something that's illegal. He goes, yo, so I picked up some acid today. You want to take some? And I was like, I don't know, man. And he was like, all right, second question. Do you want to take some and then go explore this abandoned high school? And I was like, Jason? He's like, yeah. I'm like, first of all, your first question, you asked me if I want to do some psychedelics, basically. Second of all, your follow-up question is, do you want to do some psychedelics and then go break into an abandoned school? And he's like, all right, first of all, buddy, it isn't breaking in. The door got busted down by somebody else, so it's just open now. So, yeah. And second of all, we've tripped together before, so what's the difference now? And I was like, all right, dude, there's not like a difference. It's not like I don't want to, have fun, but it's like every time I do trip now, I have a really bad experience, so I like don't want to anymore. And I don't want to mix that with like breaking into a building or trespassing or whatever you want to call it. Like I don't want to do that. And he was like, all right, fine. You don't have to, man, but I'm gonna. And I was like, all right, man, sure. So later that night, I think it was like 7 or 8 p.m. at this point, another friend of ours came over. Let's call his friend Eric. So it's Eric and Jason, and we're sitting on his couch, and they were going to do this acid together. I was planning on not doing it at all because I didn't want to, like I said earlier. But when it came time to do it, and they both took it, it was just on the table staring at me, this acid. And they did 2 tabs each, which in my opinion is so overkill. No need for that. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? Maybe this time will be different. Maybe I won't have a bad trip. Maybe I won't have a horrible experience. I'm just going to do it and see what happens. So I took 1 tab of it. And boy, do I wish I could go back in time and stop myself, because I was in for one of the most rough nights I've ever had in my entire life. So after taking the tab of acid, about 30, 40 minutes goes by. Nothing really out of the ordinary has happened yet. I'm just having a normal time. And then about an hour and a half into it, things start getting very weird, okay? I start seeing visuals. I start feeling a little bit like, giggly and a little jittery in a sense. And I'm not having a bad trip, I would say, but it's definitely coming on fast and it's coming on strong. And my friends are way, way more into it than I am. They were like just on another planet at this point. But then something really weird started happening about 2 hours into it. I start getting extremely nauseous. Never had that happen before. It felt so weird. It felt like I swallowed like a bowling ball. It felt like this giant rock was in my stomach, and I was like very, very sick to my stomach and just nauseous, and the room started to spin, which I've never had before. And then within like 10 minutes of feeling that, I started to feel like really nauseous. Like I know that I'm about to throw up, so I need to get to a bathroom ASAP. So I run upstairs into my friend's bathroom, and of course, I start puking because I just couldn't hold it in. It was not gonna happen. And I threw up for probably about 5 minutes, and after that I went back downstairs, and my friends were getting ready to go to this abandoned building. And I was like, guys, I don't think I can go. And they were like, come on, like, we were all gonna go together, like, we need a third person. I was like, dude, I can't, I just puked, I don't feel good at all. Like, the room's spinning, I can barely stand up. And then Jason looks at me and he's like, dude, you actually don't look good at all. Holy shit, you're right. And I was like, yeah, I know, I don't feel good at all. And all of a sudden, right after I said that, it was like perfect timing. I start feeling super lightheaded. Like, I can't stand lightheaded. Like, room spinning, I'm about to pass out lightheaded. And before I could even think, before I could even say my next sentence, everything went black and I passed out. Now, I can't tell you what happened after that because I was passed out, but I can assume. I'm going to assume that Jason dialed 911 and called an ambulance, because when I came to, about 5-10 minutes later, like when I finally came back to consciousness, I was being carried up the basement stairs on like a stretcher that they were holding, and then wheeled out to an ambulance by paramedics. And yeah, I remember coming to on that stretcher, just thinking to myself, fuck. Because not only did I pass out and I feel like shit and things aren't going right, but also now I have to spend a night in the hospital probably because I'm sick and feel like shit. So yeah, I had to drove to the hospital in the ambulance. Jason rode with me. We got to the hospital. They brought me into a room. They started doing all sorts of testing. Had to talk to a doctor. I told him the truth. I was like, yeah, I took LSD. He ran a bunch of tests on me, blood work, whole bunch of shit. I also had to get a brain scan because when I fell down, I whacked my head on the table. So that sucked because they thought that I might have, a brain injury. But luckily, I didn't have any serious ones, just a probably mild concussion. And essentially, after running a whole bunch of tests, it all came back inconclusive, meaning they didn't know what the fuck was wrong with me. The doctor basically assumed that it was either one of two things or both. One, I was drinking virtually no water that day, so I was very dehydrated. Two, I ate fast food all day, and he thinks I might have eaten something that, could have given me food poisoning. Or three, the acid that I took basically just induced a horrible panic attack in me because I'm already a very anxious guy. And I asked him, I was like, do you think it could have been laced? He's like, anything's possible, but based on the tests that we're running, like, you don't have anything in your system that we can see or anything going on with you that looks concerning, like you took a drug. So we think it's probably just a bunch of things, maybe panic attack, maybe you ate something, maybe it's all three, maybe it's a combination of anxiety, what you ate, the fact you had no water, it could be everything. So just go home and get some rest. By the way, I summarized that very quickly. That whole process took probably like 6 or 7 hours. It was a very long night in the hospital that I did not enjoy, but luckily in the end I ended up being okay. And also, I forgot to mention, my friends who were on fucking 2 tabs, they were great in this situation. Like, most people on 2 tabs would not know what to do in that situation and probably just let me sit there and fucking lay on the ground unconscious. They reacted pretty well. Also, they didn't have any of the symptoms I had or side effects, besides just tripping the fuck out. So that also leads me to believe it probably wasn't, laced with some shit, because they did even more than me and they were fine. But moral of the story is, just don't do any of the shit I did in the story time. And if you have a gut feeling, don't go against it. So anyway, yeah, in the end, I was okay. Everybody was fine. I came out of it with just, a mild concussion and a scary experience. But yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed this story time. If you did, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to leave your story times in the comments down below. And subscribe if you're new. I'll see you all later. Peace.
Till the end, till I'm face down. I be fully loaded, I be whipping foreign